get over to Jordan Zaslow. She is the founder and executive director of Her Bold Move USA, the executive director of Women for the Win. Jordan, thanks for being with us today. How are you doing up in New York?
We're good. How are you doing?
It's
a
good.
Crazy day today.
It is. Happy Super Tuesday to you. So the reason we wanted to talk to you was because so much of recent elections have had that big question mark around them about where the women's vote is going to go. But until this election, in the last 50 years, we'd not existed in a universe where Roe v. Wade was overturned. So take that for me right now on this Super Tuesday and tell me where this is going to go, because women Republicans do seem to be lining up behind Trump. However, we've seen, especially in Virginia, recently in the General Assembly races, the abortion issue galvanized Democrats, and then put Democrats back in the majority of the legislature there. So how big of an issue is this going to be as we move through this Super Tuesday into the general election?
It's huge. Every single indicator that we've had since Roe was overturned shows that people care about this issue, and it's not just women, it's all voters of all shapes and sizes. So we've seen a lot of reasons to be encouraged that this is an issue that's going to galvanize voters to the polls today. But one thing that we at Her Bold Move want to kind of beat the drum on is that doesn't necessarily translate to votes for women candidates. Mm-hmm. It translates to votes for pro-choice candidates, but we're not seeing our women candidates getting the same kind of push that we had expected when Roe was first overturned.
So on the Democratic side, we keep hearing of an enthusiasm gap for Joe Biden's, re-election bid right now. We don't hear an enthusiasm gap about this issue of abortion. So what does the Biden campaign need to do to not only get that message out, but also, more importantly, get people to put their feet on the sidewalk and walk to the polls in November, or today, as a matter of fact?
There needs to be a much bigger push and a much louder drum about all of the legislation happening across the country right now that's limiting women's rights, truly limiting women's rights. And we don't just see that with the abortion issue. We see it with IVF. We see it with maternal health. There's many issues that are impacting 51% of the population and even more of a percentage of voters. So these issues are making it dangerous to be a woman in America. And I think that if the stakes could really be expressed and communicated, mm-hmm. I think that would be useful, because I'm not seeing a real push for exactly what's actually going on, for the realities of women in America.
There is an issue that is not abortion connected, which, when we talk to voters, especially female voters, they care a lot about, Jordan, and that's inflation. If you've gone out to the supermarket in the last couple of years, we keep hearing the data, that the economy is in better shape, that hiring is in better shape. But when people are pulling out their wallets at the supermarket, they're not feeling it. And people feeling it is everything to the White House's campaign right now, because if they're going to make this argument that the economy's better, people actually have to intrinsically feel that. So is the economy kind of an issue that we don't talk about enough when it comes to women?
The economy is certainly an issue when it comes to women, and it's an even bigger issue when it comes to whether or not people can even turn out to vote. If people are feeling the pressure on their pocketbooks, they're not going to have the time that we need them to have to make it to the polls today and in November. So I think that the main concern for the Democratic Party should certainly be, can people afford to come vote for us?
Mm-hmm. It's a key question. Let's turn your focus over to the Trump campaign right now. Donald Trump, as we've been saying, have been racking up a lot of Donald Trump supporters. This is Super Tuesday today. We expect him to have big wins across the board. When you look at Nikki Haley's candidacy from a woman's perspective, does it matter that Nikki Haley is a woman, or is it more important the fact that somebody in the Republican Party is presenting an option to Republican voters besides Donald Trump?
We always love to see women voting and women running for office no matter what. We love it when women run for office. There's not nearly enough women running for office. I have some stats actually about that. There's a huge drop in women running for office this year compared to 2022, which is shocking. So when women run for office, it's great. That's exactly what we love to see. However, we need more than just the women's representation. We need the representative voice. So we need the issues that these women in office are vocalizing and are prioritizing to be the issues that are actually of concern to the women in their country. And in this case, Nikki Haley is not representative of most women's values. We've seen most women in our country, especially women voters, would like to see abortion be legal. Obviously, that's not a priority or even, something that Nikki Haley is entertaining. So she's not exactly the representation that we'd be looking for in terms of her values and in terms of what she would do with her presidency.
But when you look at her candidacy, does this represent any kind of evolution in our politics? Take Donald Trump and Joe Biden out of it for a moment. When people talk about Nikki Haley, they talk about being the former governor of South Carolina. They talk about being the former, UN ambassador. They don't talk about her as a woman candidate. She's a candidate. So is that progress on how we view our politics these days, especially for women candidates?
Women are always going to be up against a glass ceiling until they're not. So this is obviously something that we're very encouraged by. I think that she's still probably dealing with more misogyny than maybe her opponent Donald Trump is dealing with. But yes, she's being taken seriously, which is always great. And, if she won, then we'd be able to celebrate the fact that the glass ceiling was shattered. And of course, that's not looking to be the case this time.
All right, Jordan Zaslow, we appreciate you joining us today. Jordan is with the executive director of a couple of voting organizations, Her Bold Move USA and Women for the Win. Jordan, such a pleasure to talk to you. We appreciate you taking time out of your Super Tuesday today to spend it with us and knock around some of these things.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Jordan Zaslow joining us live from New York City today.